Well, this is, while it also might be quite funny, is also quite depressing as well. As I commented just a few days ago, it looks like if the government, shall we say, get rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol, well, why not just get your friends at the DUP to try and get rid of it for you? And indeed, this move by the DUP has been flagged by pretty much all the other parties in the Northern Ireland Assembly as being a very much of a political move. As we've reported before, the DUP is of course very, very, very upset by the Northern Ireland Protocol. They don't like it one bit, even though again they were very, very much in favour of it just a year ago almost. So here we are. Obviously, this could potentially cause a lot of problems. There's still questions about the legality. Is he actually allowed to do this or not? Hopefully, they'll just ignore him and continue on because, of course, this could cause a lot of trouble for Northern Ireland. But the funny thing is, again, about this, as we've said before, if you look at economic reports, not only from places in Northern Ireland, but even the ONS, Northern Ireland itself, compared to the rest of the other regions of the UK, has actually had a far, far better time since Brexit than any other regions have. That's primarily because it has remained in the single market and customs union, something that, again, Leave promised was a viable alternative. Something that Nigel Farage said that we could have done. Again, if you don't believe me, look at Nigel Farage's original plan for the referendum. He submitted this to the actual election authorities to try and be the leader of the Leave campaign at the time. So but then this is just yet another hilarious saga in the whole Brexit drama. Unfortunately, Northern Ireland here is being used nothing more than a political pawn, and unfortunately by the DUP, the party who really should know better than to pull stupid stunts like this. But anyway, let's get into this article, find more about what's going on here. So before we do that, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, there are the YouTube memberships to open down below as well. So as always, thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel that way. So over to this. This comes from The Guardian with the title of Northern Ireland Minister Orders Halt to the Brexit Agri-Food Checks. Northern Ireland's Agricultural Minister has ordered all Brexit checks on food and farm products to be stopped from midnight due to a unilateral move that will see him on a collision course with Brussels. The former leader of the Democratic and Unionist Party, Edwin Poots, you may remember, Poots was leader of the party for literally less than, I think it was like 3 weeks before he was very quickly booted out of the party in a very, very brutal coup. Of course, we talked about that at the time, but again, very sort of worrying, definitely very, shall we say, uneven party, not even sure what it wants to do anymore, the DUP. And of course, Edwin Poots has threatened the move last week after he failed to try and get the backing of the other parties in Stormont to intervene in the face of a delayed resolution to the dispute over the Northern Ireland Protocol. And on Wednesday night, he carried through with his threat following the legal advice, saying, I have taken legal advice in relation to my position from the Senior Counsel earlier today, and I received that legal advice, he told the Stormont Assembly. The advice to conclude that I can direct the checks to cease in the absence of executive approval. Again, like I say, if you can't get rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol yourself, just let the DUP do it for you. Problem solved. Of course, the EU won't see it that way. And I have now issued a formal instruction to my permanent secretary to hold all checks that were not in place on the 31st of December 2020 from midnight tonight. But Sinn Féin, with who the DUP shares power, said that this is an unlawful stunt aimed at trying to burnish the party's hardline credentials on the protocol ahead of the local elections in May. Again, something that we will have to pay attention to what happens there. The Deputy First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, said in a tweet, this stunt is an attempt by the DUP to unlawfully interfere with domestic and international law. The DUP are fixated on their own priorities, which are clearly at odds with whom, with obviously the wider community is at. There were, of course, reports last week after a visit of the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, to Northern Ireland, that Westminster would oppose Poots' mooted move. The Northern Ireland Secretary, Brandon Lewis, indicated on Wednesday evening that the UK government would not intervene over the DUP's decision. Again, like I said, if you can't do it, just let the DUP do the dirty work. Obviously, this is a matter for Northern Ireland Executive, and it's something that is within their legal remit, he told ITV's Preston. Obviously, we'll be looking at the outer workings of that, exactly what the legal advice is they have taken. One of the frustrations in this is, I have to say, that it's something that we've been saying to the European Union for some time, with some kind of thing that we could see happening. This was an international treaty that you signed, that they agreed and backed and signed up on. And again, this seems to be the play now, that, oh, we can't take it away, but I'll tell you what, we'll just let the DUP do it and do our dirty work for us. And then they can just turn around to you and just go, it's not us, it's the DUP that's doing this. And then it's an excuse to try and carry on with the status quo. But again, the EU is not going to see it like that. The controversial checks on the food and agricultural products came into force as a result of the Northern Ireland Protocol signed by Boris Johnson and the EU to get the wider Brexit deal over the line. However, many of the checks, including those on chilled food and meats, such as British sausages, have not been implemented under the unilateral action taken by the former Brexit Minister Lord Frost. But British businesses still face very significant paperwork to try and comply with the EU customs code that are now observed in Northern Ireland as a result of the compromising arranged agreement struck between the Prime Minister and Brussels. Other new trade barriers include a ban on the import of seed potatoes from Britain to Northern Ireland and soil, which has affected garden centres and tree nurseries. Sinn Féin says that the Stormont has a legal obligation to conduct these checks, and that the executive or local cabinet agreed back in May of 2020 to implement these controls. John O'Dowd, the Sinn Féin member of the Legislative Assembly, the Upper Ban, said the protocol is the law. The DUP signed it off in the executive that they would adhere to these regulations in the protocol. Manufacturing in Northern Ireland has advised all its members to continue to comply with the rules regardless of these events. The legal and administrative advice is that these are international obligations on traders, and they should continue to meet those obligations, whether or not there is a guy in a high-vis or to greet them at the port, they said in this tweet. Truss, of course, has taken over the Brexit negotiations from Frost, who resigned before Christmas. Spokesperson for the Northern Ireland's Department for Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs, which performs checks at the ports, has said the minister has received senior council advice on this and has issued an instruction on that basis. So this is going to spiral on, and this could potentially spiral out into even more worse things, because, of course, this is being used, again, probably by the Brexiteers. It wouldn't surprise me, in the Conservative Party to try and justify to get rid of these things. They've probably been egging the DUP on to do this. But this isn't going to fly with the EU. The EU are just going to turn around and say, well, okay, if this is how you're going to play, then your entire Brexit deal, which the Northern Ireland Protocol rests on, is now in jeopardy. So they could very well just start going, okay, if you don't rein the DUP in, we're going to start doing things against you. And the EU have been very, very clear on that front, that they will not allow any attempts to try and break the integrity of the single market. They have been very clear on that since day one. So this move, we'll have to watch this and see how this develops. But needless to say, the EU will not be very happy that, shall we say, Mr. Poots has gone and done this indeed. And of course, we'll have to see how this story plays out in the next couple of days. But needless to say, this could be once again becoming yet another flashpoint of Brexit. As we said right from the very start, that Northern Ireland would be a flashpoint for all Brexit conflicts to come, because of the way that Boris Johnson indeed signed his protocol saying that, yes, I'm fine with leaving Northern Ireland in the single market and customs union and all the EU regulations, and we'll just have, a border in the Irish Sea. He was fine with that, as even was the DUP. So there you go, just yet another twisty turn in the saga that is Brexit. So with that, as always, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all